looking at movies, Barson and Monahan define a narrative film as a movie that tells a story with characters, places, and events that are conceived in the mind of the filmmaker. With a narrative film, two different worlds of story and plot collide together to make the very fabric of the filmmaker's creation. Despite the seemingly interchangeable nature of these two words, they have very distinct meanings. The story consists of all the events one sees and hears on the screen, as well as the events that are implicit or inferable. The story of a film consists of diegetic elements which come together to form the diegesis, the total compilation of story from events, characters, objects, settings, and sounds. The plot, on the other hand, consists of the specific actions and events that the filmmakers select and the order in which they arrange those events to effectively convey the narrative to the audience. The plot also includes non-diegetic elements, things that are seen or heard on screen that come from outside of the world of the story, such as score music, titles, or voiceovers. Today, we will be taking a closer look at the stories and plots within two short films, including their use of diegetic and non-diegetic elements. The first short film, Bartholomew's Song, was directed by Destin Creighton and Lowell Frank and released in 2006. Destin Creighton and Lowell Frank both attended San Diego State University. Despite Lowell Frank sharing both of his major accolades and awards with his co-director, Creighton was able to make a successful career in filmmaking. He has gone on to win multiple awards for his efforts in projects such as Short Term 12, I'm Not a Hipster, and The Glass Castle. The second film, Death to a Tin Man, was directed by Ray Tintori and released in 2007. The short film was premiered as Tintori's senior film thesis at Wesleyan University. Despite his success with this short film, Tintori did not experience any more significant critical recognition for his latter career. The story elements within Bartholomew's Song and Death to a Tin Man share several similarities and differences in their structure. In both of these short films, the story revolves around a protagonist who takes on the character type of a rebel or revolutionist who fights the oppressive rule of a totalitarian entity. In both stories, the oppressive entity strikes back against the protagonist's rebellious efforts, and the theme of individual versus society and rebellion versus oppression are revealed. The differences between the film's stories appear as one goes to analyze the intentions and motivations behind the protagonists. In Bartholomew's Song, the audience is introduced to Barth 467, who is trapped in the cyclic and repetitive control of a dystopian society. During the rising action of the film, Barth 467 is introduced to a music player that redefines his goals. He is motivated to share the liberation he feels in the song that is on the music box. That liberation in the song is symbolic of the individualism and originality that today's society is stripped of. The Barths, Marths, and Garths represent the brainwashed, seemingly pre-programmed civilization that people live in. It is this newly found salvation of individuality that Barth 467 is so keen on sharing with the others. On the other hand, Bill, the protagonist in Death to a Tin Man, is motivated by love for the pastor's daughter. In the film's exposition, Bill is painted as the most hated man in a 20-mile radius for his heroic efforts to embarrass others. The pastor curses Bill for his exploits, which leads to a series of events that eventually make him the Tin Man. Afterwards, his girlfriend's love diminishes for him as he loses his physical humanity, but he stays motivated to win back her affection through his actions in taking from the rich and giving to the poor. Thus, the motivation behind Bill's revolutionist ways is much different than the motivation behind Barth 467's. This is how the story elements are similar yet different in Bartholomew's Song and Death to a Tin Man. The utilization of diegetic and non-diegetic elements by the filmmakers of Bartholomew's Song and Death to a Tin Man are also quite different in portraying both the plot and the story. Bartholomew's Song relies almost strictly upon diegetic elements in order to effectively tell its story. The film is absent of any narration or film score and is rather restricted in its narrative. The only narrator in the film is the camera. The only sounds heard in the film are environmental sounds, the overhead speaker, and the song from the music player. The film also contains no titles other than that of the film title. The lack of non-diegetic elements and the repetitive yet slow overall speed of the story makes the short film a hyper-immersive experience for the audience, as they themselves are inserted into the narrative of the film and forced to contemplate its relevance to them. Ray Tintori, on the other hand, constructively uses diegetic and non-diegetic elements quite differently than Crichton. Death to the Tin Man relies heavily upon non-diegetic elements through the duration of the short film. Two of the most notable non-diegetic elements are the film score and the third-person omniscient voiceover narration. The film score aids in creating a rapid pace in the film's narrative that creates a rather hyper-distant atmosphere of storytelling that detracts the reader from inserting themselves into the film. The voiceover by the third-person narrator also distances the audience from the narrative by making it more about Bill's story rather than the audience's. It creates a storytelling atmosphere rather than an immersive, involved one such as Bartholomew's song. Ray Tintori says that his reason for adapting such a radical style in his short film is that all narrative movies are essentially about as real as a sock puppet show. You can either have fun with that or not. I wanted to do a story where an act of self-sacrifice isn't rewarded by the hero getting what they want. Ultimately, he gives up his heart, which is this huge gesture, but it results in almost nothing. There are way too many pro-sacrifice narratives out there already, and I think they're actually really corrosive. Ray Tintori's stylistic incorporation of non-diegetic elements is also present in one of his previous works, Jettison Your Loved Ones. The short film was directed by Tintori in 2005 and has the same grayscaled video. The storyline is very sporadic in its presentation of the narrative, and the plot contains non-diegetic elements such as a score and third-person narration. The resemblance of the styles between Death to the Tin Man and Jettison Your Loved Ones also indicates a similar effectiveness in the narrative's portrayal. The short film is also hyper-distant and rapid-paced due to the score and omniscient narration. All in all, Bartholomew's song and Death to the Tin Man have many points of similarity, yet bear a stark difference in the depiction of their narratives. These films do a great job in showing how various diegetic and non-diegetic elements can be incorporated into a film to impact the effectiveness of the narrative that is being told.